What's up, y'all? It's Shawn,
And I'm Kenya.
and we are taking for ransom. Today, we're talking about the pros and cons of marrying your marriage after others. Okay, everybody, we know we missed last week. We're sorry. You guys texted us and emailed and DM'd, and we apologize. We've been working on a lot, so don't worry. Stay tuned. I hope you all enjoyed the live stream for the Valentine's Day special. We have a lot more of those coming. I think we're going to try to do one every quarter. Yeah, every quarter with different couples, a virtual game night. Or not even game night, just bring other couples on and talk to them. We're going to start including that into the channel. But moving forward.
Oh, wait a minute. I want to shout out Dope Apparel for my shirt. Kenyatta Shepherd. Love it. It says, I am Black History. So thank you for doing it short notice. I appreciate it.
Mine says Radiate Black Joy. I got it from the Target collection. Or if you're bougie, the Target collection. And, all right. So, marrying your marriage after others, the pros and cons. Now, some things are just the obvious. You don't know what happens on the inside. You're on the outside looking in. But then there are some marriages that the husband and wife are open and transparent about what's going on. Maybe they did a panel discussion, a podcast interview, or a TV show, and you could see the inner workings of their marriage. But what are the pros and cons of actually, are you trying to emulate them, or are you just using them as an example or as a guideline? So what do you think, babe?
I think both, kind of. We were just talking about some couples that, I feel like growing up that I looked up, like Denzel Washington and his wife Paulette Washington. They've been married for 30 or something years. Then you have like Tim Reed and Daphne Reed. They've been married since '83. Like, we have so many marriages, but it's also like taxing of marriages on top of being in the industry as well. So I guess you gotta,
especially Denzel. He was a heartthrob back in the day. I know he had to fight him off.
Yeah, absolutely. So in those aspects, like you said, like you don't know what goes on inside of a marriage, but someone or of a marriage being together for 30 years in the industry, that it got to be some type of way that we can glean from something that's in their marriage that we could say, I want to aspire to be like. So yeah,
exactly. Because sometimes celebrity couples, they might seem like everything is glitz and glamour. Everything is perfect. They're living perfection life. But like Kenya said, when the cameras are off, we don't know.
Yeah.
But there are the ones that are open and honest about what's going on. Like, I personally liked Will and Jada.
I loved them.
Before
before
the entanglements and them putting us in the group chat.
Right.
Like, I just feel like they just added us to the group chat, and so much is going on between
But
Will and
then
Jada.
even in that, we don't even really know all that's really going on with them. Before they put everything out, I was like, yo, I love them. Like, I would love, to have a man like Will, and Jada is just
Alicia Keys put them in a song.
Yeah.
It was the Unbreakable.
Yeah.
She said Will and Jada and Unbreakable.
And even with everything that's going on, we still don't know,
right.
like,
still don't
everything.
Because there's a reason they're still together.
Right. It is.
Despite everything that we know that happened with the interviews and the entanglements and all that, they're still together.
Yeah.
So who are we to judge what's going on the inside of their marriage?
Yeah.
Because we don't know. We're on the outside looking in. You can't throw stones at a glass house.
So do you think marrying your marriage is good? Like, what's the instance of us? What's the pros and cons of it?
So the pros would be, if you marry your marriage after a couple that you personally know, that's been together for a long time, whether it be grandparents, aunt and uncle, or close family friend, or even a school teacher that you kept up with since grade school, and you know them personally, and you know how their marriage operates, and they've been together 40, 50 years. Now then, I would say that would be a pro of mirroring our marriage off of them. Now you can't go tick for tat, because what works for them might not work for you. But you can still, you know what? He kisses her every morning before he leaves the house, which I do, because that's what I saw growing up. And that would be a pro to mirroring. Or she irons his clothes before he goes to work. That would be a pro to mirroring. Now, we don't know, once again, we don't know the bad side, but we're just talking about the pros. But the cons would be the flip side of everything I just said. Now, if you decide, I'm going to mirror my image off of John and Jane Smith, just to say a name, because John and Jane seem completely perfect. But then we found out John and Jane got some infidelity, adultery, domestic violence.
Do you look at them different?
Honestly, yeah, I would.
You'll look at them differently.
But then I would be like, dang, I didn't see any of that coming.
Yeah.
So here I am looking up to them, and they were doing all this the whole time. So that would be a con of mirroring your marriage off of somebody that you don't know personally.
I kind of think different though too, because I think that in marriage you're gonna have those up and downs. You know, like not necessarily infidelity, because you know certain people, you know, have their deal breakers. However, marriage is going to have is whatever that is for, you know what I'm saying, for that person. So if John and Jane Smith, I found out I'm marrying them, you know, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's good, I want to be like them. And I found out like he beats her, you know, or something like that. I in one way understand that, you know, marriages go through not that per se, but you know, I understand that it's always something in marriage that they are constantly working on. So I don't know if I would say it as a con. I think I would say it as I'm learning from them. Like maybe they, you know, maybe they did have an infidelity or anything like that. I'm learning that because John did that to Jane, that I don't want to do the same thing. So I kind of think that it's a pro and con in certain ways as well.
Now, what about the marriage? I don't know if this is still on topic, but the couples that will try to lead you astray or give you bad advice on how to do a marriage because they might be jealous that your marriage is doing better than theirs.
I think with that is that it is kind of off topic, but however, I think that's where it comes in play of like who do you have around you, you know, like what couples that you have around you that you know that you really can trust with your husband or your wife, you know, when you're not around. Like you don't want nobody around you or your husband and y'all done had a fight and then they telling you, yeah, you need to leave. Like what? Dang, off that one fight, I gotta leave. Oh, okay, like you know what I'm saying. Then you come home, you telling your husband like I gotta leave, and he's like, we just had a fight about the kitchen, you know, like so. I think that just comes in play. Who you really have around you, and that can be a con all the way around because I've seen so many marriages growing up where the family has a lot more say so in the marriage than the actual wife and husband, and that can break it up like immediately. So I think that's the biggest con that I can really see off marriage. If we want to talk about marrying, like marriage, that's one of the things that I learned. Like I cannot allow outsiders to dictate what goes on in our marriage. So that's one of the things I learned.
That's in the Bible. It says you leave your mother and your father and cling to your wife. This is your marriage.
Yeah.
This is not your family's marriage. If they're married, let them be in their marriage.
Yeah.
If they're not married, let them find their own. If they're divorced, they had their chance. But this is not their marriage, so you can't let outside forces control what you got going on. I don't care if you are a daddy's girl or a mama's boy. You have to make it your own because this is your life. you're the one that has to live with your partner. You're the one that has to deal with it. So you can't let somebody else make decisions for something that's going to ultimately affect you in the long run.
Yeah, their opinions of others just doesn't matter when it comes to our marriage. I think if we want to just talk about like just all that is one thing that I have learned. I have learned on this journey. I've seen in people's marriage where like the family is just so involved in the marriage, and then you got people talking about it's just a lot. So for that alone, that's a con of marrying, your marriage after someone,
Especially the wedding. Family try to control the whole wedding.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother subject.
Yeah.
I'm grateful we have family that gives us sound advice.
Absolutely.
Like the both of us, we have family members that, of course, we're not going to let them in all of our business. Right. But what we do choose to share, they give us sound advice. They know, oh, you should leave her or you should dump him. No, they'll tell us, work it out, get to the bottom of it, find what the root of the problem and things like that. So I'm honestly grateful for the sound advice we get from our family members.
Yeah. So who's a couple that you feel, I know I said Denzel and Paulette Washington, but what's a couple that you feel like, you have tried to mirror our marriage after, and has it worked?
Personally, I like David and Tamala Mann.
I like them too.
It's like I'm not sure how long they've been married, but I know it's been since the 90s. And they have been through a lot. And what I admire about them, especially David, is how he was sticking with and motivating Tamala through her whole weight loss.
Yeah.
Because if you know Tamala, back when she was with the Kirk Franklin singers singing Silver and Gold, she was a big woman. And then when she started in the Medea movies, she was big. And now she got a little Coke bottle shape. She has lost, I think she said, over 250 pounds. And David had to support her through that, because there might have been times when she said, you know what, I'm just going to give up, and she might have gained some weight back. And he had to support her and talk to her, treat her delicately enough to motivate her to lose the weight without saying you're fat. You need to lose this. Why you laugh? Because it's true. You have to motivate her in a nice way without just coming out with it like, what you trying to say? I'm fat? You have to do it in a good way. And he figured out a way to continue to motivate her to lose that weight. And I like their marriage for that, because I know their communication has to be pretty solid.
Yeah.
But once again, we don't know the inner workings, but that's proof in the pudding. We saw the weight transformation, so we know that he was there supporting her. That's a fact.
Been lots of ups and downs. They even mentioned I can't remember where they was at when they did this interview. Just about she had like a health scare. Like they've been through health scares. They've been through a lot of baby mama drama. They've been through like money problems. They've been through it all. So, and then still standing, like still like they really, they seem to really love each other. Like when they was on that interview, and even looking at like some of their videos that they do with their families, like they still look at each other and just with a smile. They still talk to each other, and it seemed as though that they really have a good solid relationship. But I can imagine that it was because of them going through so many things and them actually making it out on the top.
Another couple that I admire is Bishop Sheard and Karen Sheard.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because once again, going back to the man, Karen Clark Sheard, she was one of the Clark sisters.
Yeah.
Like the Clark sisters were the most famous family in gospel music.
They still are.
Yeah. And then you have Bishop Sheard, who when the Clark sisters was going on, he was Minister Sheard. He didn't have a name. Yeah. Now he has a name, but just think about what he had to go through by living in the shadow of an international celebrity that his wife was, how he had to make sure he didn't feel emasculated, he didn't feel jealous, he didn't get insecure, because the world knows who your wife is, but nobody knows you.
Oh, one of the the interview I was looking at today, one of the things that she said on that interview was, and it was just like, oh my goodness, that was good. She was like, one of the best decisions that she's ever made was saying I do to him. Mm-hmm. They've been married for I don't know how long, and she's still saying that. Like,
it's been over 30 years.
Like she said, that was one of the best decisions that she's ever made.
And for her not to hold it over his head, because I don't know what job he had or anything, but she could have been like, I'm making it, I'm bringing in the bacon, I'm making the money. And she could have held that over his head. She could have had boss lady syndrome and thinking that since I'm making the big money, you do what I say and things like that. So it really goes to show how good their dynamics were when you have the woman that has star power and the man who might have a name but not as big of a name. Again, another couple, Angela Bassett and Courtney Vance.
Love them.
A lot of people forget they're even married.
Love it.
But Courtney, we know Courtney Vance. He's an actor, but he's not as big as an actor as Angela Bassett is. So how
he had some good movies.
He did, but Courtney Vance, I feel like after the 90s, he's like, I'm just gonna chill.
Yeah.
Because the last movie I remember seeing him in was Preacher's Wife. He wasn't in another one. He was in a TV show. Oh, Lovecraft Country. He was in that. But that's another thing. Like, your wife is a big name celebrity. How do you go about not feeling insecure and things? That's something that a lot of husbands deal with when their wife is popular or succeeding or doing things. As a husband, we'll battle with insecurity. Like, dang, am I doing enough? Am I worthy enough? Are people making fun of me? Is my wife gonna leave me because I'm not as popular as her or as out there as she is? But that's another topic for another video.
Yeah, and then also, I think sometimes what works for others may not work for you, but what does work for you, that you see, you're like, okay, let me just steal that, let me just take that and put that in my back pocket. Just like last night we had a couples game night, and one of the things that the guy said that he did was hair. What was it?
How am I responding?
How am I responding? And I don't know about nobody else, like stuff like that. He said that's what they did, that's what they implemented into their marriage. Like, how am I responding to what that other person, what my wife or my husband said to one another? So
the whole phrase was love your hair.
Yeah. It
was LUV, listen, understand, and value.
Validate.
Yeah. Listen, understand, and validate. And then how am I responding?
Yeah. So shout out to Jasmine and Larry.
There are new followers too.
Right. Shout out to y'all, because I took that and I was like, okay, and I wrote that down. I was like, I love that. Like, that was, that was so key. Like, things like that, like what works for them, maybe we can take that to, for us. Like, how am I responding to Shawn? Like, am I responding with an attitude? Like, when he tells me something, like, am I being standoffish? Am I not listening? Like, I took that to heart. Like, I really, really did. I was like, dang, how am I responding? And it just really, like, so certain things like that works for them. So now I'm like, let me go ahead and try that. Now, if it don't work, I'm pretty sure it will, because that's some solid advice, for the other. So I want to take that and, and
they've
use
been
that.
married for about 5 years, I believe they said.
Yeah.
You're married for 5 and together for like 12.
Yeah. So like, I'm taking it.
Yeah, they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I'm taking it. Like, and then another couple is, of course, my first lady and my bishop. Like, they've been together, I believe almost 12 years in April. And, I really, really admire how I know a lot of times I get on Shawn's nerves because I've seen how my first lady handle my bishop, because he's so busy. He got a lot going on. You know, he does a lot, but I've seen how she handles him, and I've seen how she can really make it work with them. And so she may not say it, but I've seen her. And a lot of times I'll say to Shawn, I'll do something that I've seen her do. And he'd be like, what do you think? I'm like, Lady B. But, you know, it's just certain stuff. Like, I've seen her, how she talks to him. Like, you know, when she really don't agree with something that he said, I've seen how she like really, you know, make sure she says it to the way that he can receive it. And like, it's just certain things I've like seen, and I just took it in my back pocket, you know, so I can be a better, you know, wife to my husband. So yeah.
And that's a good segue into our video for next week: proper communication with your spouse. But yeah, I do believe that there are pros and cons on mirroring your marriage after other couples. The deciding factor is going to be, what do you want out of your marriage? Are you going to emulate them, or are you just using them as a guide, as a go-by?
Yeah.
Like, that's the true question. We can't really give a definite answer. It really depends on what you want out of your marriage. We'd like to thank you all for watching. Again, we apologize for missing last week, but it's going to be worth it. We have a lot planned, a lot coming up. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Emphasis on the share. We like to get this out to other couples, young, old, engaged, friends, whoever.
We always put a little thing out, like, we don't know it all. This is just our experience. Like, we're just talking candidly. It's us. Like, it's okay.
Right. We're not marriage coaches.
No.
We're not therapists.
We just know our experiences, and we know what we go through. We can't do nothing else about nobody else. We just know what we go through, and we just want to share it.
And we've been married a year and a half.
Yes, we have.
Valentine's Day was our 1.5 year mark, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. The ups, the downs, and we're learning a lot. We're learning a lot. That's what she said. Everything we talk about is stuff that we're learning. We don't know everything, but what we do know, we're going to tell it to you.
Absolutely.
So, you know, pay it forwards. That way you can be like, you're doing the same thing Kenny and Shawn just talked about in their video. Maybe it'll help.
Yeah.
Until next time.